Our next performer is going to be performing a dramatic performance for you. And it's been a long and winding road. I think he's probably from the start of the season had a couple of different dramatic performances to share with you. But he's finally settled on one that I think you're going to find very enjoyable. He finished in 3rd place in both state and district with this. He'll be representing Loyola this weekend in Washington, D.C., and also in June in Fort Lauderdale. Zach Durkin, dramatic performance.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird. My mom used to sing that song to me when I was 3. But that's a different story. What's your story? Everyone's got a story. My name's Jeremy Goldstein, and I got a story. It's a good story. And now most good stories these days are filled with action and adventure and police chases and happy endings. My story has none of these, but it's still a good story. According to a 2009 study done by Arizona State University, 35% of people say that they have been affected by survivor's guilt, a condition in which one believes that they are responsible for the death of others just by surviving. Many of these people were affected by car accidents, mass shootings, and even the Holocaust. However, most people reacted when it came to the death of a close family member, similar to 14-year-old Jeremy Goldstein. Follow Jeremy as he recalls his past relationship with his mother and learns to say goodbye for the final time in My Story by Emily Moore. I was born April 1st, 1984 to Mark and Mary Goldstein, and I received a strong Catholic upbringing. I'm just kidding, just a little joke to see if everyone's paying attention. I mean, everyone knows that Goldstein is a Jewish name. And I grew up in a small town called Chicago. You may have heard of it. I'm not sure exactly what my father did when I was younger, but he traveled a lot, and I didn't get to see him. But my mom, she never had to travel. I mean, we had the perfect life. Me, my mom, and I wish I could have seen my dad more often. But to say that I had what I wanted as a kid, that would be a total understatement. I'm a joke. I like jokes. I guess being born on April Fool's Day had something to do with it. But seriously, I had everything. From Nintendo, to Sega, to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I even had this little blue hat. Chicago Cubs. They're my favorite team. Oh, they're real good. My mom gave me this hat when I was 5. She said it would be a reminder of our friendship because she knew I would wear it everywhere I went, and I did. And I wanted to give her something to serve that same sort of purpose, so I looked all around and I found it. This little gray rock. And when I gave it to her, oh man, was she excited. And for good reasons too, because that rock was magical. Every time she showed it to me, it would be completely different. Sometimes black, sometimes white, like chalk, sometimes big, sometimes small, sometimes it would even look like a piece of wood. Now between you and me, if I had known that rock was just so special, I would have kept it for myself. I later found out that it was a different rock each time. I wasn't the smartest growing up. But since my dad had to travel so often, and I didn't get to see him, my mom and I did everything together. And when I say everything, I mean everything. We would go to the store together, we'd play outside on my swing set, and some days we'd even play baseball. And I would pretend that I was Ryan Sandberg of the Chicago Cubs, and she would pretend to be Mark Grace, and of course, I would wear my hat. And on some days, really special days, she would take me to see the Cubs play at Wrigley Field. We had season tickets. We had 3 season tickets, in case my dad ever showed up, but that didn't happen often. When I was 8, I decided it was time for me and my mom to stop playing. I wasn't mad at her or anything. It's just guys aren't supposed to like playing with girls when they're 8. And I didn't have any friends. My parents, they didn't like me to go far from the house. I mean, we lived in Chicago. They were always afraid I'd get shot or something like that. So I decided it was high time for my parents to give me the one thing they hadn't in life. A friend. I begged them day after day. Oh, come on, Mom, how hard could it possibly be? You had me, didn't you? How long could it possibly take? Well, apparently not that long. Because after about a week of me begging and pleading, I got my wish. They were pregnant. I was finally gonna have the perfect life. I was finally gonna have a friend. This is a picture of my sister Mary. I keep it on my desk as a reminder of just all the pain and suffering I caused my family. I haven't been honest with you, but I wanted you to like me, so I told some jokes and I led you to believe that I had this perfect life. But the truth is, I didn't. My mom died giving birth to my sister. Death due to complications during the birthing process. I kept waiting for the doctor to come out and say April Fools. But this wasn't April Fools, and this was no joke. She died because of my ignorance, because of my selfishness. I begged her and my dad, and when that didn't work, I begged God to make my life perfect by giving me a friend. But what I didn't realize was that I had the perfect friend in my mom. That woman gave me every single thing that I could have ever wanted up until her very last breath. And now I sit at home and I wait. I wait for her to come through that door and give me a big hug. But she can't. I wait for her to take me to another Cubs game, but she can't. She's gone, and it's all my fault, and all that I have left is this stupid reminder of how selfish and spoiled I was. My sister. We had a funeral, and we buried my mom. And for weeks, me and my dad just sat around in silence. I'd never really gotten to know him, so it was awkward. But one day my dad comes up to me and he says, it's time to start moving on and to say goodbye. And all I'm thinking is, how the hell are we supposed to move on from something like this? But I couldn't even argue with him. I barely knew the guy. So after a few weeks of me moving clothes and her hats, I came across this little box. I keep it under my bed these days. And on the top, it said my story. A reminder of my perfect friendship. And when I opened it, well, there was a picture of me and my mom at Wrigley Field. And a little gray rock. Same rock I had given her when I was 5 years old. Goodbye, Mom.